So my house is a two-family home, and the first floor was where my mother-in-law lived and all the mechanicals for the house. So she lost every single thing. She lost a lot of stuff for Hurricane Irene, but she lost everything for Superstorm Sandy. And then all the mechanicals for the house were completely shot. So the house was unlivable.
The rebuilding as a resident was extremely difficult. I was unable to stay in my home because I had a little ranch and I had to, like many people, find someplace else to go. I lived in East Rockaway, Baldwin, just waiting to come back home.
We had decided we were going to lift our house. We decided we were going to lift our house before New York Rising even existed. We knew that was the best way to protect us. The options were either move or make the house livable for where we are, and moving was just not an option. We love it here.
And I think the painful part for me was driving back to my house every week and not being able to stay. But in the midst of that, what really encouraged me was one by one, I would see little lights and I would say, somebody else is back home. That's gonna happen for me as well.
The day we moved back in was such a sense of relief and accomplishment, and almost like we beat you, Sandy, is how it felt. I don't know if you're familiar with a second line band. They're popular in New Orleans, like a second line march. I really wanted a second line to come down my block because that's how exciting it was to come home.
That was the most wonderful feeling of being able to come back home. And as each person within my community came back home, to have all of your neighbors come back and kind of just, we're so happy you're here. People were knocking on the door, people were standing in front of your house. We were all cheering for one another as we came back home. And then finally for me to be in my own house and then wait for that next neighbor to come and for me to stand with a group of neighbors to say, welcome home. That was the greatest feeling ever. I'll never forget it. My message to them is to never lose hope. Also to remember that you have an entire city that's behind you. The city of Long Beach in itself is cheering for you, but we're also, as members of the city council, our city manager, we're all advocates for you, and we're still reaching out to all the legislative bodies until each person, every person who was here, comes back home.